This year, I refuse to do a top 10. Instead, we're going to do a best of. Hey everyone, welcome back to Andrew's Wizardly Reads, and as always guys, I am Andrew, and today we are doing my best reads of 2023, but before we get into that, please like this video and subscribe to the channel, as it does help the channel grow, and you can check the description box down below for links to all of my social media, if you want to connect via Patreon, the Discord, check out my Amazon wishlist, what have you, it's all there for you to explore. That said, we are not going to be really doing any sort of reviews or deep dives into these books because I've got too many. When I tossed out the top 10, it really opened up for me to include a lot more amazing books to really talk about here with you. So I'm very excited to do this, but we've got a lot of books to get through, so we're just going to kind of jump right on into it. We're going to start off with an SPFBO9 semi-finalist. Good old Spiffbo. We've got The Wick Wire Watch by Jacqueline Hagan. I have read the first book in this series, obviously. This is Riverfall Chronicles book number 1. There are 2 other books out that I need to get back to, but man, this book will hook you from the first line, and it will not let you go. We're going to stick it right there. We've got Divinity's Twilight Rebirth. This is Remnant. Rebirth is book 1. I loved book 1. Book 2 was even better. It was explosive. It was expansive. It was heartbreaking. It was fighting back against adversity. This book is amazing. So good. Be sure to check out Christopher Russell's work. Next up, one that I have to thank my friend Tori for putting on my radar. We've got The Assassin of Grins and Secrets by K.E. Andrews. This book is fantastic. We get to really dive in and explore PTSD, and trauma and all sorts of things that are associated with it and what it means to really fight and protect what's important to you. Where will you go? What will you do? This one is absolutely a must read, and she is currently her Hills of Heather and Bone, which I haven't read yet. K.E. Andrews is also another SPFBO9 finalist, but this one made semi-finalist, and frankly, I think that's a crime because it's amazing. Should have been a finalist. There, I said it. SPFBO8. We've got The Price of Power by Michael McKell. This was my personal. I submitted this as an SPFBO 9 semi-finalist. This one is expansive. It's explosive. It explores the price of power. It's all in the name. Redemption. It's all here. This one was fantastic. Oh, I loved it. Then, of course, this one needs no introduction from me. This is Stephen King's The Green Mile. I thought I read this last year, but man, this took the spot of my top Stephen King book. I fell in love with this. 6 novellas, or I guess 6 parts, all stitched together to form a beautiful story about death row and the people who were on it and the people who guard the people who were on it during the Great Depression. It's fantastic. I loved it. It's so underappreciated. Then, of course, we got an author. Stephen King will appear on this list again, but we've got another one who will appear on this list again. But we're going to start with Daughter of the Empire by Raymond E. Feist and Janie Wirtz. And this is probably my favorite political fantasy of all time. This was a masterwork. Book 2 kind of changed it from a political fantasy and added a little bit more romance in, which I didn't quite like as much. But book 1 was amazing. Oh, so good. Then we have got probably my favorite time travel style of novel. We've got Dumagoy Kermayage, or Nobody 103's Mother of Learning. This is Arc 1, because Arc 1 started it all, but all 4 arcs are amazing. I love this. Zorian is constantly stuck in a single month that is on repeat, and he uses that to gain a whole bunch of power, and I loved it. It's kind of mage school. It's great. I loved it. Of course, we've got more assassin fantasy with Age of Assassins by R.J. Barker. I need to finish the 3rd book. I want to do that one physically because for whatever reason, the narrator, Joe Jameson, whatever the narrator of the audiobook's name is, whenever I listen to him, I really enjoyed the experience, but over time, the drama and the kind of melancholy really starts to get to me. And the third book has a lot of melancholy and a lot of just pain in it. But Age of Assassins, we've got Gert and Clubfoot, and it's so incredibly good. Hire assassin, or to catch an assassin, use an assassin. I was going to say hire an assassin, but, you know, whatever. Same difference. Next up, we've got another author who will appear more than once on this list. We've got Boy's Life by Robert McCammon. Fantastic coming-of-age story. This is so good. Zephyr, Alabama. There's this kind of missing person. There's been a murder. There's like voodoo in here. Oh, this book is amazing. I need to get the original hardcover copy of this because this paperback is beat up and it makes me sad. And I will cherish this story for the rest of my life. And then this is probably the best book that I read this year. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say that. We have got Legends and Legacies by Cal Black. We've got book number 2, No Port in a Storm. There's so much survivor's guilt that is explored in this. This is also kind of Louisiana Bayou style. I just absolutely love this. And I already loved No Land for Heroes, which is book 1. And book 2 was even better. Whenever I think about my favorite book that I've read this year, this always pops into my brain. Whether or not it is my favorite, this is always top list in here. It's just always just sitting right on here. It's like, oh, this is a definite contender. And I think I'm going to go on a limb right now and say this is the best book I read this year. Next up, we've got an amazing one if you exclude a single chapter. If you include the chapter, this one, you got to be in the mood for it. But we've got James Clavell's Shogun. There is a rather graphic chapter, but other than that, like, this book is fantastic. It's historical fiction, the Portuguese, the English, the Japanese, 1600s. I learned a lot of history, actually, off of reading this book. I did not know about the Portuguese and the Japanese. It really, really surprised me. It's a long book, but I've been meaning to get to Taipan for forever. So hopefully I am planning on reading Taipan with Tori in 2024, and I can continue the Asian saga because I just had such a good time with it. Then a book I haven't talked about on my channel in a while. We've got Swordsman's Descent by G.M. White. And I just loved where we went with Bolesco on this. He's the aging king's champion. In this case, he's the queen's champion. And I just love kind of going into his past and exploring his past and exploring a lot of that trauma. G.M. White has a banger here in the Swordsman's Descent. I really, really enjoyed this one. And then, of course, you didn't think I was going to talk about the best books of 2023 and not talk about Stephen Arion's The Judas Blossom. Oh, Mongol fantasy, historical fantasy, I should say. This one is, I cannot wait to get my hands on book number 2. It has to get here soon because I have been craving book 2 ever since I read book 1. It was so incredibly good. And then, of course, we're flying through, guys. I told you we weren't going to be taking time to really review these books, but we've got the madcap of them all, debunked by Dito Abbott. We've got Dirigibles, Mad Camel Scientists, Mad Scientist Camels. There we go, Mad Scientist Camels. This one is fantastic. I love everything to do with this book. I can't wait for the second adventure. Then I told you Janie Wirtz was coming back. We have got Cycle of Fire, specifically Storm Warden. I liked Keeper of the Keys a lot as well. And Shadowfane, I need to go back and reread because the ending in my brain is all muddled. It all happens really quickly, and if you're not paying the closest of attention, it can be kind of confusing. But Storm Warden was fantastic. I've actually got this little piece of art on my wall. Storm Warden will forever be a special story to me. I love this. And if you're looking to get into Janie Wirtz, this is her most accessible entry into her work. Then we have got Queen of Bedlam. I told you Robert McCammon was coming back. This is book 2 in Matthew Corbett, and this is the early 1700s New York. And let me tell you what, it is one wild ride. I love Robert McCammon's writing, and I can't wait to get back to Matthew Corbett with the 4th book because the series is wrapping up here soon. And moving on to the next stack, we have got for Scored by Andrew D. Meredith. This is the second book in Needle and Leaf. And this is probably, don't get me wrong, right now I'm about 90% through Gloves of Aeons by Andrew D. Meredith, which I really, really enjoy. But For Scored is probably one of my favorite books by him. Needle and Leaf is just so incredibly good. If you want a really strong father-son exploration, especially Surrogate Father, oh, it's so incredibly good. Love that. So incredibly good. Then, of course, we've got a sci-fi that I just really, really enjoyed reading, which is Down Below Beyond by T.A. Bruno. This is the first book in the expanded Brunoverse. That's right, I call it the Brunoverse, and Tommy thinks it's funny. So yes, this is the first expanded book in the Brunoverse. We get to really explore outside of his Song of Kamaria series, or trilogy, I should say, and I just had a lot of good, especially the final lesson in this book is so incredibly good, and it's a good reminder to just kind of slow down and appreciate what you already have. We've got Titan Hoppers by Rob J. Hayes, and this one is just so cool. The idea is so incredibly good, and I just realized recently that he dropped the audiobook to Spire Climbers, which I had kind of been waiting for, Rob. And since I'm tagging you in here, I'm just gonna shame on you for not advertising that. I don't know, but I've got it now, and I cannot wait to hop into Spire. Get it? Hop into Spire Climbers, because, oh, I'm so incredibly excited to continue this series. It was so good. And then, of course, we've got Waybound by Will White. And frankly, if you need me to tell you about Cradle, just go and watch my videos. I've got a whole bunch of Cradle videos. This just absolutely slam dunk nailed it, in my opinion. I really, really enjoyed Waybound. And Will White's been tweeting out on Twitter something's up. And I'm interested to see what it is. At least at the time of recording, he's doing something that he's done prior to Cradle announcements, where he would put up the covers one after the other, and the series was supposed to be done. So this is me in the past. If it turns out to be nothing, sad Andrew. If it turns out to be something, excited Andrew. Ugh, sorry, I'm so excited. Then, of course, we've got The Wrathbringer by Christopher G. Brenning, and Live for Vengeance, Live for Hate, Live for Wrath. I mean, this book and this series is just so good. One of the best descents into madness and embracing the dark side, as well as one of the best redemptions of a just absolutely destroyed character that I have seen. It was so incredibly good, and I got to do the cover reveal this year for book number 3, and I can't wait to have it in my hands. It's going to be a blast. I am manifesting that is going to be Christopher's best work yet. So get in on the series now. And then, of course, I went back recently and started all the way at the beginning with Stephen King and read Carrie. And I gotta tell you what, like, I knew about Carrie, but this one, it just surprised me. It was a pleasant surprise. Well, I won't say pleasant. This book is horrible in its content, but in its just delivery, it is so incredibly good. And in such a short amount of page. I think this one's like 180, 160 pages. I just absolutely loved getting to experience Stephen King's first story. No matter how horrific it is. Because, I mean, it's just, bullying is never a good thing. Don't do it. Don't do it. Be better. Be nicer. Be more human. And then, of course, we've got His Majesty's Dragon by Naomi Novik. Somebody tell me if I'm doing it right or if I'm doing it wrong, because I just don't know. This is a charming dragon rider book, which I didn't expect. Granted, the last third or the last part of the book is more combat focused with Napoleonic Wars and stuff like that. But the integration of dragons into historical fiction was fantastic. Imagine all the dragon myths and now make it real. And then integrate that into a world that is ours. And you might end up with something like Temeraire. And I really, really enjoyed it. I can't wait to continue my buddy read with, I believe it's currently, right now, it's Nico and Murphy from Murphy Napier. So I'm very excited to continue that. And then, of course, Tori once again recommended another banger to me. And this is The Blood of Crows by Alex C. Pierce. And Ren is just such a fantastic character because he's damaged. But at the same time, he is, I don't know, he's just so strong. Like, he refuses to break. He refuses to give in. He constantly wants to do what's right. Even if doing what is right is wrong. There we go. I was going to get it out eventually. That's a very hard thing for me to say. But, I mean, technically, if doing what is right requires breaking the law, Ren's perfectly fine with doing that. So, it's so good. He's such a great thief. He's so good at just kind of ferreting away at things. I loved the way he did that. And then, kind of a historical fiction based off of an actual author. We've got Patricia Meredith's A Deed of Dreadful Note. This is the Anna Catherine Green Mysteries, book number 1. Anna Catherine Green is the mother of the modern mystery, to the point where she inspired Arthur Conan Doyle and Agatha Christie and stuff like that, but she's been mainly forgotten by today's readers. And she's kind of just a footnote, and that's a darn shame, because basically she becomes the main protagonist of a murder mystery by Patricia Meredith. And I love this. I actually learned what an inquest was because I read this book, but this book was just a lot of fun to read. I did beta read this, and yeah, I absolutely love it, and I can't wait for her to give me more Anna Catherine Green stories. And because of Patricia Meredith, and because of all that, she got me into Agatha Christie. And this is a Barnes & Noble collection, but I did Death on the Nile, ABC Murders, and Five Little Pigs. Five Little Pigs. I don't know what's going on. I'm talking a lot. We're almost done with this list. But, I mean, I love pretty much all of the Agatha Christie, except for The Murder of Roger Ackroyd. That one was a bit... I felt a little lied to in that one, but everything else that I've read from Agatha Christie, like, it's just all kind of lumped into Agatha Christie. I enjoyed reading it. And then Ray Bradbury makes the list with The October Country. Now, I've done Fahrenheit 451. I really enjoyed that one. But here, we've got October Country by Ray Bradbury. And, I mean, really what makes this is the last kind of story. And there's a lot of great stuff. I actually did a whole live show based on The October Country with Owen Edwards this year, and it was a lot of fun just sitting there talking about Ray Bradbury and his writing and his style and things of that nature. I really, really enjoyed it. And then I don't want to get too far in without talking about The Wandering Inn. I have discovered Inworld. I am in love with Inworld. Aaron Solstice. We've got Ryoka Griffin. It's so incredibly good. It's a fantastic, fantastic story. Before I forget, we've got Sufficiently Advanced Magic by Andrew Rowe. A fantastic novel. I absolutely love it. And then, of course, John Bierce's The Siege of Skyhold is also flippin' amazing. It's so incredibly good. To me, I equivalent that book to Changes in Dresden. So if you like Mage Errant series, check out Siege of Skyhold, which is the 5th book. It's well worth it. And then we got 2 more books to talk about. We have got The Stray Spirit by R.K. Ashwick. This is a cozy fantasy with lutes and bards and an apocalypse. So good. The reconciliation of a broken relationship. I loved this book. And then finally, coming in last but not least, there we go. I can say it. The Legend of Eli Monpress. Specifically Spirit Thief, because that's the one I've read. You can see I've read this right here. This book was so good. Imagine taking the best of Scott Lynch, the best of Michael J. Sullivan, slamming it together, and you get The Legend of Eli Monpress. It's so good. I can't wait to continue this series. But guys, I'm sure I've forgotten some books to talk about here, but these are the majority of the best books that I read in 2023. Let me know in the comments down below if you agree, disagree, and I would also love to know some of the best books that you read this year. Please drop them in the comments so that maybe I can add them to these shelves and read them for myself and experience the joy of a fantastic book. That's all I've really got for you today, guys. So till next time, peace out, stay magical, bye. And as always, I want to give a huge thank you to my patrons. Thank you for supporting my passion and my hobby. It means the world to me.